Hello everyone and welcome back to Sade Crochets. For this tutorial, we'll be doing a three-part tutorial for this beach dress and finally turning it also into a beach halter. So in this part one, we're just going to make this torso part, which will lead into part two as well as part three. So part one, we'll do just this top torso part. Part two, we're going to add like the dress, the skirt part to the torso, and also adding the straps. And then in part three, I'm going to take my prototype torso and just add straps to turn it into a halter. So this one will be a really short tutorial here, but I just didn't want to waste. My prototype is actually cute. So as far as materials, you'll need a medium weight 4 yarn. I used acrylic. I do think cotton will probably drape better, but I always make my prototypes in acrylic, or sometimes I do. And you'll need about 600 to 1,000 yards. 600 being for extra small, 1,000 for 3X, and everywhere in between. And then hook sizes. I'm actually gonna give you 2 hook sizes this time to choose from. So I didn't really want my dress super tight. I used an F hook, and you can kind of see how it fits me. It's a little bit looser. So the F hook is what I used, which is a 3.75 millimeter hook. But if you wanted it slightly tighter, go ahead and use your E hook, which is a 3.5 millimeter hook, and it'll just be a little bit tighter for your size. And if you have questions about sizing, I use the Craft Yarn Council's size chart, which I'm going to link in the description below. And I'm just checking for the hip measurement. This dress is based on the hip measurement. So hip and waist actually. So you can go to that size chart and check your hip and check your waist to see what kind of size you need to make. But other than that, let's jump right in. Okay, so we are going to start off by making a slip knot. And then we are going to chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we're going to join. So insert your hook into that first stitch and then slip stitch. And now we are going to chain 1 for height, and then we're going to put 12 single crochets into the ring. One, 2, 3. Oh, I mean 8. 8 single crochets into the ring. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 8. Okay, so once you have put 8 single crochets into the ring, we'll slip stitch into that first single crochet. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we'll find that first stitch of the row and then slip stitch. And that's row 1. Row 2, we're going to chain 1. And then we're going to put 12 single crochets into the ring. So when you do these single crochets, you're going to have to like kind of pull it up higher so that we're going to do it around the row before. So that's 1. 2. 3. 4. 5. 6. And 12. Okay, so once you have your 12 single crochets into the ring, we'll slip stitch into that 12th, that very first single crochet of the row. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I just count backwards to make sure I don't put it in the wrong one. So slip stitch there, and that's what round 2 looks like. And round 3 is similar. We're going to do that one more time, except this time we're going to put 16 single crochets in the ring. So chain 1, and then we're going to insert our hook back into the ring, pull up a loop, and single crochet. So we're going to do 16 single crochets into the ring. So that's 2, 3, 4, 15, and 16. Okay, so once you finish your 16 single crochets, we'll slip stitch into that first single crochet of the row. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. And we'll slip stitch into that stitch, and this is what it looks like now. So now we're going to do row 4. So now we will chain 1, and then we'll put a single crochet in the same stitch as the slip stitch. So single crochet here, and then we'll put 1 single crochet in the next 2 stitches. So 3 single crochets total, and that is row 4. For row 5, we're going to chain 1 and turn our work. And now we are going to put 3 double crochets into this first stitch. 1, 2, 3. From there we will chain 1, and then we're going to put 1 double crochet in the stitch, in the next stitch, middle stitch out of the 3, chain 1, and then we're going to put 3 double crochets into that last stitch. 1, 2, 3. And that's what the row looks like now. Alright, so from here we're not going to chain anything, we're just going to turn our work, and then we're going to slip stitch over to that second double crochet of that first group of 3. So we'll slip stitch into the first stitch, and then we'll slip stitch into that second one. So now we're in that middle stitch of the 3 double crochets, and from here we'll chain 2 for height, doesn't count for anything. And now we're going to put what I guess I'm going to call a front post shell into this middle stitch. So we're going to yarn over and put a double crochet, and then a front post double crochet around that middle double crochet. So yarn over and put a front post around that same stitch that we just worked into. Okay, and then to finish this shell, we're going to put a double crochet into the same stitch. So you kind of have to lift up your post stitch, and you'll see the hole is right behind there. So we'll put another double crochet there. So the front post shell is double crochet, front post double crochet, and double crochet in the same stitch. And so from here we're going to chain 2 and skip 2. So we're going to skip this next double crochet and skip this chain 1 space, and we'll be working into this middle double crochet from the row before. So chain 2, skip 2, and in this double crochet we're going to put another front post shell. So we're going to put a double crochet, front post double crochet around the same stitch, and a double crochet into the same stitch. So move your post stitch up kind of, and then you can see where the same stitch is, and double crochet in there. And now we're going to chain 2, skip 2. So we're going to skip this chain 1 space and this very first double crochet here, and then we'll do another front post shell. So we're going to double crochet, front post double crochet, there we go, and double crochet in the same stitch, so it's kind of right behind that post stitch. And that's how you work the front post shells. So this is what it looks like now. So from here we're not going to chain anything, and then we're just going to turn our work, and now we're going to slip stitch over to that middle stitch of the shell below. So slip stitch into the first stitch and slip stitch into the second, and then we'll chain 2, and we're going to put a back post shell here. So it's similar to the last row, except we're just doing a back post shell instead of a front post. So now we're going to put 1 double crochet into that middle stitch, and then we'll do a back post double crochet around this front post double crochet that we did before. So we'll put a back post there, oops, a back post double crochet, and then we'll put another regular double crochet into the same stitch. So all 3 are worked into that middle stitch below, and that's what the back looks like, but you can see on the front the post is continuing on one side, so that'll be our front side. And so from here we're going to chain 3. So last time we chained 2, and we're going to increase this every row until the cup is done. So chain 2 last time, so now we're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. And we're going to skip all this stuff and go into this very middle stitch here. So we'll put another back post shell here. So we'll do a double crochet, and then a back post double crochet around that front post double crochet from before. And then we'll do another regular double crochet in the same stitch. And then from here we'll chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and then we'll skip all this stuff in the middle and work into the middle of that last shell. So we will put a double crochet and then a back post double crochet around the front post, double crochet, and then a double crochet into the same stitch. All right, and so that's what the back looks like, and from here we'll turn our work. And these 2 rows are going to kind of repeat, except each time you repeat it, you'll be adding one more chain into these 2 chain spaces. So let's do another set together. We're just going to slip stitch over to the middle stitch here. Oops. So 1 and 2, and then we'll chain 2. And then we're going to put a double crochet, front post double crochet, and double crochet into the same stitch. Last time we chained 3, now we're going to chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we're going to put another front post shell in the next center stitch of the shell below. So it'll be a double crochet, front post double crochet, and double crochet in the same stitch. And then we will chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and put another front post shell into that middle stitch. So double crochet, front post double crochet, and double crochet in the same stitch. And that's what it looks like now. So from here we'll turn our work, and then we're going to do our 2 slip stitches over, chain 2, and now we're going to be working a back post shell into this middle stitch. So we'll do a double crochet, back post double crochet around the front post from earlier, and then double crochet in the same stitch. And then last one we chained 4, so now we'll chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we'll do a back post shell into the next middle stitch, and a double crochet in the same stitch there, and then we'll chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then work another back post shell in that last shell there in the middle of the last shell. Alright, so that's what the back side looks like, and this is the front side now. So you can see it's definitely increasing and turning into a triangle for the cup shape. So you're going to continue repeating those 2 rows, on one side you're always going to be putting front post shells, and on the back side you're going to be putting back post shells. And then just keep in mind that every time you go to your next row that you're going to add one more chain in between your shells, so it'll continue to increase into the cup. And so you're going to keep repeating those 2 patterns. We just finished row 9 together, so with the 5 chains in between, that was row 9. And your next row will be 6 chains in between, and then your next row will be 7. So for extra small, you're going to continue repeating these 2 rows until you finish row 17. A small is going to finish row 19, and a medium will finish row 21, a large will finish row 23, 1x will finish row 25, 2x will finish row 27, and 3x will finish row 29. And the way you know you did this correctly is that extra small, you'll have 13 chains in between your shells. A small will have 15 here. A medium will have 17. A large will have 19. 1x will have 21. 2x will have 23. And 3x should have 25. Now, okay, so this is what it looks like now. Once you continue that little increase there, ensure that you stop on an odd row. Your last row should be a back post shell row and not a front post. But this is what it looks like now. So we're going to fasten off, but we're going to leave this loop here. I'm just going to cut the tail without pulling this through. And I'm going to set this aside. What I'm going to do is go ahead and repeat rows 1 through 17, 19, 21, 23, 25, 27, or 29. Whatever you did for your first cup, you're going to do for your second cup. So go ahead and make that second cup, and don't fasten that second cup off, and I will meet you there. Okay, so this is what it looks like once you finish both cups. You should have one with a loop on it that's the tail's been cut, and one that still has the working yarn on it. So what we're going to do is we are going to crochet this first cup to the second. So I'm just going to turn them back to the back side, and I'm just going to chain 1 first, just for a little space in between the cups. And then I'm going to take my second cup and slip stitch to the very first double crochet of the second cup. So I'm just going to pull up a loop and slip stitch, and then I'll chain 1 and fasten off. So that's how we're going to have the 2 cups together. So now we're going to start off with this working yarn on this side. So everyone should have finished their last row of the cups with a back post shell row. So now we're going to turn and be on the front post side. So turn your work. And before we start on this portion, we're going to do a similar stitch pattern. But we're going to stop increasing in the middle and start increasing only on, or continue increasing only on the 2 outside little chain spaces. So right now, you should have 13, 15, 17, 19, 21, 23, or 25 chains in between every shell here. So now we're going to start increasing the first and the last portion by 2 instead of 1, and stop increasing altogether in the middle. So this one's going to stay the same length. So let's do that together. So just like we've been doing, we're going to slip stitch over to that middle stitch of the shell, chain 2, and put a front post shell into the first shell. just like we've been doing. Okay, and then depending on your size, you're going to add 2 to what you just did in the previous row. So I was doing a medium, so I have 17 in my previous row. So now I'm going to do 19 chains in this first section. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 18, and 19. So once you chain out your chain, we're going to do our next shell. Front post shell in the next shell there. And then in this next section, we're going to do the same amount that we did before. So I had 17 before, so I'm just going to do 17 again. 2, 3, 4, 16, 17. And from there, now we're at the middle, and the middle is a little bit different for this first middle because it's not yet pulled together. So what we're going to do is we're going to put a double crochet into the last double crochet of the last shell. So 1 double crochet in the last double crochet of that first shell, I'm sorry. And then we're going to put 1 double crochet into like around this chain 1 space. 1 double crochet there. And then 1 double crochet in the last double crochet of that next shell, or in the first double crochet of that next shell. So we're just picking the 2 outer double crochets, and we got 1 double crochet in the middle. So that's how we're doing that. And now we're at the next middle part of the next cup. So we're going to do the same amount that we did before, which was 2, 3, 4, 16, 17. 17 or whatever you did before. And then we're going to do our next front post shell. And then we're adding 2. So we got 19 now for me, or 2 plus whatever you did before. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 18 and 19. And then we will finish the row with another front post shell. Okay, and that's how it's looking now. So from here we're going to turn our work, and we're going to repeat the next 2 rows, which are very similar to the row that we just did. So we're going to slip stitch over. This is the first row that we're going to repeat. So we're going to slip stitch over to that middle stitch like we've been doing. Chain 2, and then put our back post shell into the first shell. Okay, so that's our back post shell. And so whatever you did in this first and last segment, you're going to add 2 more to that. So I did 19 in that last one. So now I'm going to do 21. 1, 2, 3, 4, 19, 20, 21. Okay, and then we'll do our next shell, our next back post shell. Oops. Okay, and then for these two middle segments, we're gonna do our original number. Mine was 17, but we're just not increasing that one. So do the same amount that you did over here last time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 16, 17. And now we're at this middle section. So we're gonna do a back post shell into this middle double crochet out of the 3. So we're gonna put a double crochet, a back post double crochet around that same middle stitch. And then another double crochet in the same stitch. All right, and then we'll chain the same amount here. So that's 17 for me. 1, 2, 3, 16, and 17. Okay, and then we'll do another back post shell here. And then we'll chain out the same amount that we did in the first segment. So for me, that was 21. 1, 2, 4, 5, 19, 20, 21. And then we'll do another shell in the last shell, another back post shell. All right, so that's what it looks like now. So it's increasing, but only from the outside. And so this is the first row of the repeat, and this is the second row of the repeat. So we're going to turn our work, slip stitch over, so this one is considered row 3, I guess, of the torso. So we're going to chain 2, do our front post shell. And then we're going to chain 2 more again in this first and this last segment. So the first and last segment for me will get 23 this time. 1, 2, 20, 21, 22, 23. So 2 more than you did in the last row. And then you're going to do another front post shell in the front post shell. And then chain the same amount that you've been doing in the middle. 1, 2, 3, 15, 16, 17. And then we're going to do a front post shell in this middle stitch of the shell below. And then chain the same amount that you've been doing in the middle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 15, 16, 17. And then another front post shell. And then the same amount that we did on the first segment of this row. So that was 23 for me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 22, and 23. And then we'll finish the row with a front post shell. So we're going to keep repeating these 2 rows for a little bit. We're just going to be increasing by 2 now on that outside set, on the 2 outside sets of chains. And the middle set of chains will remain as, there we go, will remain as the same number as they were before. So we're going to keep repeating this increase. Considering the row that we just finished as row 3, you're going to continue repeating rows 2 and 3 until row extra small and small, until row 11 is finished. For medium, until row 13 is finished. For large, you're going to go until large and 1X or both go until row 15 is done. And 2X and 3X will finish row 17. So continue this pattern and I will meet. Okay, so once you finish your repeating rows, you're going to fasten off. And then this is what it looks like now. Thank you all so much for watching. This concludes part 1 of the video, but I will catch you in part 2 where we will attach the skirt. And thank you once again so much for watching. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. And I'll see you on part 2 of the next video. Bye!